We'll take a look at the Buick Gasket. This is drawing number 5 in your packet. So make sure you have your packet out. When you start this drawing, you're going to want to start with a big cross in the middle, which will be the center of this circle. And after you draw the big cross, you want to offset to get all of the center points. So for instance, on the top, you're going to want to do a 3.5 offset to the left and then to the right. On the bottom, you want to do a 4 1/8 offset to the left and to the right. And that'll get you these 2 center marks on the bottom and the top. You also want to offset up 2.5 from the middle to the top. That'll get you the top edge. And then when you get to the top edge, you want to go down 5 1/8. So when you get to the top, offset down 5 1/8. And you can see that here on the drawing, how I kind of started just like that. So I would get start with your CAD borders, get your construction lines, draw a big cross. Again, it doesn't matter really how long that cross is, just make sure it's not small. You always want to make things bigger because you can always trim them down later. And then I'm going to switch to my visible layer, and I'll quickly draw in these 2 circles. The first one is the diameter, which is 3.25. And then the center one is the radius, which is 1 7/8 or 875, so 1.875. So those are your 2 circles that are in the middle of the drawing. 1 7/8 radius, 3 1/4 diameter. Now I'm going to offset those same dimensions I just talked about. So I'm going to offset. We'll do the 3.5 first. So 3.5, enter. I'm going to offset to the left and to the right. Now let's do 4 1/8. So offset 4.125. Those will be the center marks on the bottom. Now I want to offset this up. So O, enter. 2.5. And then O, enter. 5.125 is the overall height. So I'm going to do the top and go down. Now I have the top of the part, I have the bottom of the part, and I have the center points for the circles. The other thing you want to do is get the angle in there, which is 28 degrees. So I'm going to hit tab, and it's going to be 90 minus 28, so I believe that's 62. You can always double check that with an angular dimension. Looks good. The intersection of the purple and green lines, that's where you're going to draw in another radius circle of 5/16. That's right here, 5/16 radius. And then what I can do to get the left edge and right edge, what I can do, as long as I have this angled line, I can offset it 5/16 each way, and I can get the left side and right side of that little slot part. So offset 5/16 to the left and to the right. Now eventually I'll have to go back in there and clean that up a little bit and trim. Okay, the last thing for the circles would be, we went over 3.5. We have to go down 1/2 inch. So we went over 3.5. When we offset, now we go down 1/2 inch to get to this center point. So let's double check too. I have several lines on here now, so I'm going to double check that this is the 3.5, which it is. Good. So that's the 3.5. So now I'm going to go, I can just draw a visible line down, it's fine. I'm going to go down 0.5. Now that'll be the center point of the 1/2 inch radius circle, and also the diameter circle, which is 9/16. And both of those are here. Here's 9/16 diameter, 4 holes, means all 4 are the same. And this is the 1/2 inch radius dimension for the outside, which eventually that circle I'll have to trim. The bottom is going to be the same thing. I need to go up a 1/2 inch to draw my circles. Now the bottom, if you remember, the distance from here to the center point was 4 1/8. So make sure you're using the right line, and then you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go up a 1/2 inch, and you need to draw those 2 circles. You have the radius of 0.5 and the diameter of 9/16. So those are the 2 circles on the bottom now. So you can kind of see where we're at with this. We need to trim a little bit here. I need to do these curved parts as well. Also, I'm not even going to do both sides to this. I can mirror. Like right now, if I want to get those circles on the other side, I can select both of the circles. I can click mirror, click my center point, and I can kind of mirror this around. And no, I don't want to erase the source. So again, mirror will come in handy on this part. I'm going to trim up this a little bit. I'm going to keep this. Keep the left edge, the right edge, and I can get rid of the bottom half of this circle. I'm going to do TR enter enter now to kind of clean this up and this up. And then I can do another TR enter. I'm going to keep the big white circle, and I can get rid of the bottoms of those. That's kind of cleaned up a little bit now. Okay, the curves. The curves are probably one of the trickier parts of this drawing. The 1/2 inch radius curves, and there's an 11-degree angle on top and a 40-degree angle on the bottom. I'm actually going to use the left side to do this. First thing you want to do is, first we're going to switch back to construction layer, and I'm going to grab a line. You want to draw a line that's tangent. Tangent is kind of tricky to get. It won't show up all the time. So what I've done is, or what I'm going to do is go into my OSNAP settings here, click on the settings, clear them all, turn them all off except for tangent. Now AutoCAD will only be able to click on a tangent, which is what we want. See, there we go. We have a tangent to this circle. The other thing is we need to know the angle and the length. We don't really know the length, so we're just going to type in 5 for that. But what you want to do is after you have the line connected with the tangent, this is how you type in to set the line. You're going to type in the @ symbol by holding down the Shift key. Then you type in a length. In this case, we're just going to use 5. We don't know what the length of this line is, but 5 is going to be plenty, and we can always trim it. So at 5, then we type in the angle symbol. You'll have to use Shift again to get the angle symbol. And then 40, because we know it is 40 degrees. So that's exactly how you type it in. At 5, angle 40 for the bottom left corner. Okay, so I still have the line on there, tangent. I'm going to hit Shift at 5, Shift again, angle 40. Hit Enter. So what we just did there was we drew a line at 40 degrees that was 5 inches long that's tangent to this circle. And eventually I'll come back and trim it. We need to do the same thing on the top, except on the top it's 11 degrees. So for the top, we're going to go tangent at 5, angle 11. Now notice how it went the wrong way. It went up. So we want it to go down. So let's try typing a -11. Here, I'm going to delete this one. Grab a line, tangent, Shift at 5, Shift again to get the angle symbol, and we're going to do, let's try a -11. Since it went the wrong way the last time, we'll do a -11, and there you go. It goes down now. Another important dimension is going to be where this line comes in at, and it's 2 1/4. So the distance from the middle to like right here, where those angles stop, is 2 1/4. So we need to offset 2 1/4 over, 2 1/4 over from the middle. So O enter, 2.25 enter. Click the middle line, go to the left. Middle line, go to the right. Now those lines that I drew were both 5 inches, which was too long. Let's trim them. TR enter. Going to keep this, enter, get rid of this, and get rid of that. So now I know the curve is going to be in there, and it's a 1/2 inch radius. So I'll use my fillet tool to do these 1/2 inch radiuses. So I'm going to do F, enter, R, enter, 0.5, enter, and then I click my lines. I click here, I click there, hit enter, click the angled line, and then click up here. And there's that nice little curve part, which I can now mirror to the other side. So I can select that, select it, grab my mirror tool, click the middle of the part. Now it won't let me click the middle because if you remember, we turned all our O snaps off. So now I got, since I'm done with tangent, let's go back in here and turn all our O snaps on. And now we can click the midpoint. Kind of spin that around, make sure it's in the right direction. There it is, click. And no, we don't want to erase the source. Now we got that curved part on the other side. You have to clean it up a little bit. We'll have to do these corners as well. Like these corners go up and over. They're square on the top, like that. So I'd have to now go in here and trim that part of the circle and this part of the circle. Same thing on this side. It's squared off on the top corner there. So now I can do a TR, enter, enter. I can get rid of this and that. The bottom, I got to trim these circles. That was a TR, enter, enter. So it kind of looks like that. There's this little slot on the bottom, which is goes 1 7/8 each way and an 1/8 of an inch up. We could use fillet for that too. And we could also use offset. Actually, we should do offset first. So 1 7/8 over and an 1/8 of an inch up. There's a few different ways you could do that. So maybe I'm going to use offset. So O, enter, 1.875, enter. That's the 1 7/8, 1 7/8. And then offset, 0.125, which is an 1/8 of an inch up. That slot is right here. I just need to put the 1/8 inch fillets in there. I'm going to zoom in, F, enter, R, enter, 0.125, and I click here and there, and then hit enter, click here and there. So that's that little slot, which I now have to trim. So this, I'm going to do a TR, enter, I'll click keep the bottom. Actually, I can delete this line. If it doesn't let you trim, sometimes it's because you can just delete it. Let's see, now I got to trim the inside. I'll do TR, enter, enter, and click that. So that's that slot there. Looks like I trimmed a little bit too much over here. I'm going to just grab this grip and bring it over. So that's how I did the bottom slot. There's another hole over here you'll have to get in. Don't forget about that one, the 3/4 diameter. You can figure out that one. But basically, you'll get to about this point. Yeah, here's the hole right here that I was mentioning. When you get to this point, yeah, you want to clean it up a little bit. Like this big green circle too needs to be trimmed. Like I can keep this, and get rid of that. So you just have a little bit of a curve right there. And I actually have to delete this part. So I have a little curve there. I can switch the center construction line to be also center. So I have like a center line kind of coming up. You know, something roughly like that is what you're looking for with the dimensions or with the center marks and with it cleaned up. And then adding the dimensions, it'll look something like this. When you're done with the dimensions and setting it all up, we want to do ANSI B. We're going to do ANSI B on this one. I'll just use this one. I know the dimensions are not on that one. That's all right. We'll go 1:1 scale. You know, kind of center it a little bit better. And there we go. So ANSI B 1:1 scale, and then fill in your title block. So that will complete the Buick gasket drawing.